Hello, YouTube family. How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing well. I want to read to you from a paper that I have. It says, Jesus Christ is fulfilled prophecy. In today's world, many do not recognize the plain prophetic statements foretelling the coming of Jesus the Christ as the suffering servant. They ignore the specific declaration of his messiahship, how it was to be accomplished, and what it means for mankind. This eye opening article will prove from prophecies of the Old Testament that Jesus Christ is indeed the promised Messiah and Savior, prophetically validating him as the coming King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Peter tells us, "And now, brethren, I know that through ignorance ye did it, as did also your rulers. But those things God which God before had showed by the mouth of all his prophets, that Christ should suffer, he hath so fulfilled." Regardless of this plain scriptural statement, currently two-thirds of the world does not recognize Jesus Christ as the promised Messiah, and a portion of the one-third who don't understand what he really represents and what his gospel message is really all about. So many of the traditional teachings within the so-called Christian community have camouflaged the truth, resulting in a misunderstood purpose, consequently misdirecting the many Christians today into believing a blurred and confusing Christian theology of what God the Father, through Jesus Christ, is accomplishing. Unfortunately, this has caused the many to be exposed to the jeopardy of what Jesus described as those who think they are pleasing God, but in fact are not. Notice, not everyone that says unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. On the one hand, in today's secular, liberal environment, where the opinions of even the village idiots are heard, Christianity is often the target. This has contributed to the demise of what little credibility the Bible has retained among the world's scholar elites. Yet, on the other hand, traditional Christianity has presented such a compromised version of the original theology of the Christian-centered gospel that it should be no surprise for us that many would come claiming Christ is Messiah, but shall deceive the many or most. Where is the proof? So, so is it possible to prove from the Bible that Jesus Christ is in fact the promised Messiah? And if that can be done, can we prove beyond a shadow of a doubt what exactly was the definition, the scope of his grand ordained mission. These are legitimate questions that deserve answers, and they can be answered. In order to properly answer these questions, we must first remember the Old Testament scriptures were the only God-inspired documents available at the time of Jesus Christ's ministry. Many fail to realize that the New Testament church was established and built on the text of the Old Testament writings. This is why it's absurd to consider mitigating the influence these manuscripts of the law, writings, and prophets had on the early New Testament church. Contrary to the opinion of many liberal Christian scholars, the Old Testament manuscripts substantiate the New Testament texts, including the very messiahship of Jesus the Christ. As a matter of historical fact, the Christian way was originally considered an extension of the ancient Hebrew religion. Unfortunately, too many have forgotten this and have dismissed the Old Testament and mothballed it, religitating it to ancient history, or cute little Bible stories that have a moral to the story by the circumstances described. Sadly, this is an enormous mistake because the Old Testament has much more value than that. It is the biblical proof that these canonized books verify the very hand of God in human affairs. To marginalize the Old Testament is a decision to rule out a major historical record of God's personal involvement, describing how he is orchestrating the human realm for the fulfillment of his purpose and telling his story. The Old Testament prophecies pertaining to Christ and his suffering servant. Messiahship ministry is just one of the many very important components sanctioning and authenticating God the Father's role in the scope of his salvation plan. That's it for now. I hope you liked the reading. I will read more later. Thank you all for watching. And until I see you again, God bless you all. Have a good day.